Welcome to my naturally sweetened life. Let's make homemade naturally sweetened marshmallows. First thing you need is water and gelatin. We're going to put that in a bowl and let it bloom. Set it aside. We will be using that in a few minutes. Now we're going to add water to the pan, and then we're going to add to that our honey. After we add our honey, we're going to turn the heat on to the stove to medium-high and wait for it to come to a boil. Please stick around the stove. Don't walk off and do something else because honey has a tendency to boil over, and make sure you keep your heat at medium-high, not high, because it will boil over. Just take your time, and this does take about, I would say, about 12 minutes or so. So maybe every 5 minutes, take its temperature with your thermometer, and I'm leaning mine over because my thermometer doesn't reach the liquid. So ever so often, just check the temperature, make sure it comes to 242, and then we can move on to the next step. Okay, now that we're at the right temperature, we're going to start slowly pouring in the hot honey mixture into the pan on top of the bloomed gelatin. You want this process to be very slow. It's hot and you do not want that boiling liquid to come up on your skin. So take your time and allow the whisk to whisk in the honey with the gelatin, and don't scrape the pan. Just pour it in, and any leftovers you're just going to wash it off later. So as we go through this process, you'll notice we're going to start very low because mixers tend to splatter your liquid on you, and you don't want that to happen. So we're going to start very low, and we're just going to keep mixing with the mixer until we see that the honey is going to change color and texture. Okay, each time that you see your honey start to change in texture and color, it's going to start to become more white and just a little bit more thick. Each time it does that, you can turn up the speed a notch and mix at a higher speed. This way that your marshmallows can start to form. The higher we go, the faster it will happen. Here we go. I turned it up even higher, and you can see it's getting more white and thick. And keep an eye on it because we're going to turn up the speed again once it starts to get more white and more thick, and until we get to the highest speed that we can go to. And then you're going to whip it until it's white, thick, like marshmallow fluff and cream, like marshmallow cream that you can get in a jar. That consistency. When you dip the whisk inside of your marshmallow fluff, it should form a peak, like a little wisp that doesn't fall. And I think we're pretty close right here. It's white and thick, and it's almost time to scrape it out of the bowl. Okay, it's ready. So you need an 8x8 baking dish lined with parchment paper, and I'm sprinkling in tapioca flour on the bottom. And then I'm going to take my spatula and scrape all of the marshmallow fluff into the prepared pan. And then I'm going to take my offset spatula and I'm going to smooth out the marshmallows so that there's no bumps and everything is even. And then I'm going to set it aside and let it just sit there until like a minimum of 4 hours, but I like to do it overnight. So here we are the next day. And you're going to take more tapioca flour and sprinkle it all over the marshmallows very liberally because marshmallows are sticky. And you're going to pry the marshmallows away from the parchment paper until it's all loose, even the underneath parts of the marshmallows. And if you need more tapioca flour, don't be afraid to sprinkle that on as you're working. Okay, now that we have the marshmallows loosened from the parchment paper, you just cut it into little cubes, marshmallow-sized squares. I cut it into strips and then cut those strips into cubes. And don't be like me, put a cutting board under your parchment paper. I don't know why I did that, but you probably should have a cutting board under here because you are cutting. But anywho, you just cut them into squares, and then we're going to run them around in the tapioca flour a little bit more, and you have marshmallows. That's all there is to it. And you can store these at room temperature in a bag for about 3 or 4 days, or you can actually freeze them. If you would like the full printable recipe, come on over to mynaturallysweetenedlife.com. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.